And I like to stay away from politics. If
And welcome to another exciting adventure on Riding Through the Unknown. Sorry, I had a momentary blip in my head. It's been a crazy ride with this weather, and tonight you all are in for a huge treat. I have seen this guest that's on tonight on some podcasts. He has such amazing information, and his bio is unreal in the best kind of way. It's like, wow. And so, to save you all from hearing the bio, I am instead going to turn it over to my amazing guest to introduce himself to you all. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to the one, the only, supernatural, amazing Aage Nost.
oh boy, I got coffee in hand and I'm ready to go. But I don't know, super amazing. Huh, both those are tall words. I sure hope I can stand up to those. But yeah, a little bit about myself. I guess I am an import to the United States. I was born in Northern Europe on a farm back up there up in the ice pack where we have polar bears for pets. Not really, but I uh, I grew up on a farm, and I figured it out that I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. So I left the country at 25, and I came to the United States to become a professional pilot. I did that. Me and a partner had a flight operation for many years, and I gained quite a bit of flight experience. And after I burned out. I was doing so much flying that I burned out. So I started doing other things, development of the mind, and also hypnosis and studying the universe. And I've hosted and produced 2 TV shows in Tucson, and I've had many different radio shows of my own, as well as podcasts, and I'm kind of an eternal student. I love learning, and I try not to forget so much of it that I'm able to talk about it. So at least it brought me here. So let's have some fun, huh?
Yes, and after hearing that and reading your bio, my first question to myself is there anything left for him to do? He seems to already have pretty much covered such a large gambit. It's like, what could be left to drive this person? Because, wow.
Oh yeah, there's more to do. There's one big thing, and I can't talk about it yet, but you're gonna hear in the near future. So there's always things to do, and I've been very lucky. I don't know if luck have anything to do with it, but I've been lucky. and that is that I've been able to do, for the most, things that made my heart sing. I loved what I was doing. I liked it back on the farm, but I didn't want to do it anymore. And I love flying, and I love studying the universe. I love educating people to expand their mind. And I'm having so much fun with it. Me and my co-host Nori Love, we are doing the broadcast team alpha show on 44 different platforms around the world, and you can find us on YouTube and everywhere. We have so much fun with that. And I'm 80 years old, but they asked me, when are you going to retire? And I asked them, to what? If you have so much fun that you would do it even if you don't get paid, which I don't, then why quit?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not work if you're just feel yourself just having fun doing it.
Yeah. Life should be fun. If
I
it's not fun, you're doing it wrong.
I agree. And talking about life, we were talking before we got started, and you mentioned there's a major breakthrough in for our lives that's been kind of hidden and suppressed from us. I believe you said there's an enzyme that reverses aging.
Yeah. And let me preface that with those of you out there watching and listening to this, listen real close, because this information may be the most important thing you have ever heard for many, many years. Because in 2009, 3 doctors got the Nobel Prize for discovering an enzyme that reverses the aging process. And nobody told us. And this is real. Don't take my word for it. Go to the Nobel Committee's website and go down to 2009. Go down again to medical submissions and read the papers. I did. You're going to like it. One place, one place in those papers, one of the doctors makes the statement that if everybody had enough of this enzyme in the body, there would be no reason for anyone to ever die from old age. Now, that's a powerful statement. I know enough about the Nobel Committee. I've been aware of them since I was this tall because there's a Swede that created the Nobel Fund, and it is managed out of Norway, where I was born. So, yeah, this is real. Read the papers. But since 2009 till now, and now a lot of research has gone into it. And for those of you out there that is saying your ears are perking up right now, it is very simple. Very simple. There is a pharmaceutical that, of course, you know, they had to get involved in the game. So it is called TA65. They claim that it will do the reversal of the aging process. I've reversed that. I looked into it and I found a lot of people saying it didn't do a thing for me. But there are others that say, yes, I see it working. So I don't know what to think. But there's another way. And that is another piece of research that I've done. I dug into that and I found some very, very old people. The oldest one that I can absolutely say is real. He died from an accident at the age of 256. The government verify his age. on 3 occasions. He was born in 1677 or something like that, but he died in the 1930s. And he was Chinese. He was teaching martial art to the Chinese army for as long as anybody can remember. He was also an herbalist, and he figured out what herbs will do the same thing as the pharmaceuticals claim TA65 can do. But the only thing about it, his method of doing it works all the time. So I am doing it the cheap way, using this herbal medicine. And I don't know, it seems like it's doing something for me, because I'm about 80 years old, and I think I'm doing something right. And there's also a mental picture in this equation. One of them, you can take the herbals, that is great, and it'll probably do it, but also it can give a better effect if your mind is in on the game. And that is, no, it is possible to reverse the aging process. Look at the medical research. That'll help you to get the believability of it. If it's worked for someone else, hey, it's got to work for me, right? So look at that. There, I have a book on the shelf up there that has a lot of the medical research in it, and they say that taking the herb astragalus in the high doses will slow down, stop, or reverse the aging process depending on how much you take and how often during the day. So if you take the astragalus and also take it with black pepper will magnify the effect of the astragalus 400 times according to the medical research. So that is important. And if you want to see more about this, go to Broadcast Team Alpha on YouTube. Scroll down into the, I think it's about 3 or 4 years ago or so, I did a 93-minute video where I explain what I do, how it works, and how it can work for you. But you can go down, you can find it. And I think it is on the video side, not on the live videos, it's on the video side. So you can go find it and listen to that. That will help you a lot. And besides that, I wrote a book where I talk about it. This one here, Spiritual Science, Higher Conscious Thinking, and How to Access the Universal Consciousness. This book talk about that, how to do that, what I do, as well as it teaches you how to use your mind in ways you normally would think would be impossible.
You know, what's interesting is when you were saying, you know, with the first study where it worked for some and didn't work for others, the first thought in my head was, did the people that it didn't work for not believe in it? Because the mind plays a super powerful effect, and the intention also plays a huge part. And so it was interesting that you later picked up on that and was like, and the herb side, there was like everybody's goes, yes, we believe in this, yes, this works, and he has 100% effect with it, not, oh, there's a 60-40 or a 70-30. It's everybody. And so it just goes to show our minds have as much to do with it as what we put in. And so that's amazing, but I can't help but wonder why would they suppress this and not make this more public? Because I would think with all the people that are, out there trying to be quote immortal, would be like stocking up the shelves with this in their homes and
Yeah.
want this out there.
Well, there's two things I want to mention here, and that is actually why it works. We know it works, but also you need to know why. But your question about why didn't they tell us? Well, it is fairly simple, actually. The people that think they own this place called Earth, they have decided that there are too many people here. So there is a UN program to reduce the population of Earth. And if we all got on this program to reverse the aging process, that wouldn't serve their purpose, would it?
No.
No, so that's one of them. But I also want to mention something. There is a reason why this works, and that is science has found out what causes aging and eventual death, physical death. They say that there are several contributors to it, but there is one major reason, and that is the shortening of the telomeres inside on the chromosome and the end of the chromosomes inside every cell of your body. Every time the cell replicates itself, it loses a little bit of the length of the telomeres at the end of the chromosome. So by the time that the cell has multiplied itself, let's say 10, 15 times, there's hardly nothing left. When there is nothing left of the telomeres at the end of the chromosome starts fraying, and the cells are no longer able to replicate themselves. So you get stuck with more old cells in the body, and you get more and more and more, and you get older, you get wrinkled, you start realizing that, oh, every part of my body hurt, and I'm old now, so I know I'm going to die. So that kills you. Now, when they did the genome project, back in the early 1990s, they found some reasons for the aging. And they found three major reasons. One of them is the shortening of the telomeres, which is a genetic, I would call it defect, even though it happens all the time, but it is a defect because it causes something that shouldn't happen. And of course, that was created by the Anunnaki when they created people. But there is something called genetic gene therapy that can also help to keep the telomeres longer. But that's very expensive, and I have not looked into it too much because it's above my pay grade. I don't really understand it. But there's another one, and that is they found that religion is also a contributory to aging and death, because religion tell you you're going to grow old, you're going to be sick, and you're going to die. And most people believe that. So that accelerates the process. When you get to be 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years old, then when you're 100, you think, oh, I better get my stuff together because I don't think I have more than 3 weeks left. They start thinking in terms of termination. And when you think it, you create it in the mind, and the mind believes it. Because the brain doesn't know the difference between what you think and the real thing. So it believes that, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to die, so I better create the situation that'll make it happen.
I think the medical is partly behind that too, because because I have a condition of sleep apnea, And the first thing the doc tells me after the test results is, oh, it's extremely fatal, but you'll
Yeah.
get your machine in 2 weeks. And I'm like, wait, so I got like a 2 week period of this, of if I'm going to live or die before the machine gets here? Because they program us with their language, fatal is, I've lived 30, 40 some years with it. It's obviously not fatal, but because he mentioned that word, it's like the mind automatically goes, oh, we're doomed.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember that UN program that is to reduce the population of Earth? If they can,
Agenda
yeah,
2030, is it?
well, it used to be 2020, Agenda 21. Now it is Agenda 30. Because they failed in making it happen in 21. But the doctors are in on this because they are told to tell people that the absolute worst situation, that's what can happen to you.
Yeah.
So I guess the other option is to stay awake for 2 weeks, right?
Right. I do have an interesting question, though. As you were mentioning, like gene therapy can fix the genetic effect. What about the new science of epigenetics, where
Yeah.
we can alter by doing work on ourselves to erase past traumas to the body? Can that in turn, that work, go to the next generation and they have longer telomeres because the genetic code has been rewritten, so to speak?
Yeah, it is not the genetic code, according to Greg Braden and Joe Dispenza, and very, very highly recognized and competent scientists, they're saying that the genetic code is probably responsible for somewhere between 5 or at the very most 10% of what happens to us. All the rest of it is a subject of the results of epigenetics. So I would recommend highly to you listening and watching this, write it down, epigenetics, and go research it, because that is something that can change your life. Because whatever we allow to dwell in our mind the most is what we're going to have in our life. That's a fact. And if you think that let's say you got an illness and you accept it, and you say, oh yeah, I got cancer, my dad had cancer, I know I had to get it too, and my grandfather, he died from cancer, so I know it's in the family. No, not, probably not. Because if your eating habits carry down the line from grandparents to parents to you, and you are eating the same garbage, I mean fast food, yeah, you're probably going to get sick. Or if you think like that, oh, my dad had cancer, I'll probably get it too. Yeah, you probably will have cancer. And I'm painting it pretty black here, but there is something in this. Your environment will create how you live and what you live by. So research epigenetics. You're going to love it if you're watching this. There is much in there that can change your life, because once there's a saying in here somewhere that uh, what, if you change your view of something, what you are looking at changes too. That's not the saying, but it's close.
Right.
So change your view of things. If you say, no, I'm not going to get cancer, that's my dad's, he did that, I'm not going to have it. And then change. Start eating healthy with a healthy habit. Start exercising. Martial arts are wonderful. Tibetan rites are wonderful. other exercises that people do. Any exercise will help you strengthen the heart and do all kinds of wonderful things for you. But if you're not exercising, you are shortening your lifespan. That's that's the tough one to realize.
Right. And I agree. And that's the other big thing with the, talking about the medical and being equal to the church is they always will say, "Oh, we found this." Well, it could be cancerous, but it'll take us a few weeks or a few days to find out. So your mind is sitting here liquefying into
Yeah,
fear mode for these days, and then they'll message and go, "Oh, well, it's actually benign, and so it's not what we thought." And you're like, you get this big relief. Everyone says, "Oh my God, I can breathe." And it's like, why don't they instead, of, I know it fits their agenda, but it's like, it would be better to me if they said, we don't know what it is. You have a 50-50 chance. So your mind can go, okay, it can be this or it can be that. I can focus on either one. But when you're only given one option, it's hard to sit there and go, but it's going to be benign, right? When they
yeah,
go, we think it's cancer. It's like, wait, but it's benign. And it's like, your mind won't go there. And so I love how it's become the comedy of, you see everywhere they go, yeah, don't go to the doctors because you're going to get the dreaded C word.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I know I've been known to give doctors a bad rap, and they deserve it a lot of time. But they
There
have
are
their
good
place.
ones.
There's good doctors too. So when they do wonderful things with emergency medicine, they do phenomenal things. But don't go to them and ask for nutritional advice because they had all of about 4 to 5 hours of nutritional education in medical school of 7 years.
It's funny you say that because my parents and I, when we would go to the doctors, the first thing they would do is look at you and go, well, we obviously need to fix your eating habits. And we're like, really? And then they'll look at the blood work and they're like, well, actually, your blood work is good. And it's like and it's like they're in a moment of pure confusion because what they're
Yeah,
seeing doesn't match the paper, and they don't know what to do. It's like we broke them because
yeah, that's
we have great health records, but we just don't look like we have great health records.
yeah. And I want to remind people too that I'm not a doctor. I'm not practicing medicine. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just talking from medical research that I have read on the New England Journal of Medicine or listened to doctors talk about it. And Lancet is a good one out of England. That is wonderful medical journal. So you can go there. But for people that is more interested in the reversal of the aging process, let me read something I wrote down for you because I wanted to get it right. You can start out with astragalus. There's also an herb called jiaogulan herb. That is, in China, it's called the immortality herb. Jiaogulan, and I know I had to spell that one. Jaogulan. And also wild ginseng, gotu kola, goji berries, ling shi, he shou wu, and of course we need minerals. We need trace minerals, and cayenne pepper. That is excellent to keep your according to medical research, that keeps your blood vessels clean if you keep. It's slow to clean them out, but it does a good job when you keep on it. And these things, they will do wonders for you, according to the medical research. that they normally don't tell you about.
And what I find interesting is, we've kind of mentioned around these different agendas.
Yeah.
And I feel like for some people who are watching this, they know exactly what we're talking about. And some people are like, what do you mean these agendas? What's Agenda 2030? What's Agenda 21? What are you talking about? So, why don't we take a moment and explain what we're talking about so we're all getting familiar and getting the gears going in the right direction,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Are you reading that, or do you want me to talk about it?
Agenda 21, I will let you explain it.
Oh, okay. Well, it dates back quite a while. I'll explain the problem and then I'll talk a little bit about the solution. This is a plan that a small group of people put together to make sure that they can profit from it. And they're saying that there were too many people on Earth. And I disagree. There's just bad management, that's all. But they also knew that robots will be coming to do the work, so they didn't need people anymore. Now, that's a little tough pill to swallow, but that's how it was. They are setting this up for the purpose of creating a one world government where they are in charge. And I traced this back to about the year 325 AD when Emperor Constantine, he wanted his empire to grow. And his empire, the Roman Empire, was collapsing all around the edges. There were little wars everywhere, and he wanted it to grow instead. So of course, he looked at the Jews, and he saw that they were never fighting with themselves. He wanted what they had. So he sent 223 people to Constantinople, or Nicaea at the time, and he told them, create a religion that'll unify my empire and do not emerge before you have done so. That gave us the Bible, because he wanted a global empire, and he thought that could help do that. Well, they wanted global governance, and also in I think it was 1992. There was the World Population Summit, where 171 countries got together, and they were directed by the UN to meet in Sao Paulo, and they agreed 800 million people will be an ideal population for Earth, because then we could create sanctuary countryside, and let the forests grow and nature would multiply and everything will be good. And of course, they would be in charge of the 800 million people. So after that, the meetings were over. Then there were a few countries that stayed behind, and they decided that we need to schedule when this will happen. And they decided on 2021 for it to be all completed. So they called it Agenda 21. That is 30 or 29 years to prepare, and they figured they would have the technology in place then to be able to do it. So, well, if you ask any futurist, they will tell you that it makes sense. They already back then knew robots will come and take the jobs, so they wouldn't need people anymore. And it was sold to the people as sustainable. Anything with when they prefaced with sustainable. That is a part of that program of reducing the population and creating 500,000 to 800, 500 million to 800 million population of Earth. So they have, in their papers, they show that they want to herd people into cities. There will be no private property. The government will run your healthcare with mandatory vaccination and mandatory things to eat. It's in their papers. And also, they will dictate what your jobs will be, because you will be working on something that you are good at. That's what they do in China right now. And I have my own thoughts on that. There's no freedom in what you like to do. You may be really good at something, but you don't like it. So then you end up doing what you're good at, hating it all your life. That's what happens in China. So now, then, when you are decided what you're going to do to work, you also will get paid. And there's everybody will be put on a salary that is so small that you can barely live on it. It is only for maintenance of the bare life. And there was a term for that. I can't think of it right now. But also, they will restrict your travel. You cannot travel outside of the 15-minute radius of that city. You have to have government permission. It's all in their papers. Charles Schwab, the head of the World Economic Forum, he wrote a book where he explained all of this. How they're going to create a lockdown, tyrannical Chinese system of governance. It's in their papers.
Wasn't it also they thought on the Georgia Guidestones that they tore down?
Yep. I love that. There were 500 million people is what it says on the Guidestone, or said on the Guidestone. That was and it was written, I think, in 7 languages, including hieroglyphics and Sanskrit. So they date back a while. They wanted to make sure that for the next 1,000 years, people will be able to read it. So that's what the plan was. So these human settlement, they call them the 15-minute cities. That is something that they have in mind for it. Unless that Trump is able to stop it, that's where you're gonna live in the future, because communism is rampant in the United States.
Which is interesting because I remember in the 1950s we had McCarthyism and the Big Red Scare, and it's almost like we could almost sit here and script and look at everything of that type of nature.
Yeah.
Was it designed to show us where we're heading or where we're at, or was it their way of saying, this is what you got now, and you're just too quote unquote dumb to see it, and that's your problem?
Yeah. Well, there's something that in their religion, there's something in there that says you always have to tell people what you are going to do to them. If they do not object, you have permission. Tacit agreement. So they're telling us, sometimes they, if you watch TV at 3 to 4 in the morning, they run some really good stuff sometimes of what the plan is. but nobody sees it. So they can say, yeah, we put it on TV. They didn't say when. And the same thing, they put it on the guide stones in Georgia. They have it, Charles Schwab's book, explain what they're going to do to you. They tell us what the plan is. But people don't listen. Oh, they say, yeah, I don't want to read his book. I don't read books anymore. I just watch videos. People don't know. And then they watch TV where there's nothing good on it. Well, that's not right. There's something good on it. The Weather Channel is halfway decent.
The funny thing about the Weather Channel is I will say to people, man, I missed the boat. I should have went into meteorology because it's the only business where you can be wrong all the time and not get fired.
Yeah. Yeah. But now that gets tricky too. You have geoengineering.
Right.
That does not follow the computer models. There's no option in the computer models for geoengineering because that can happen anytime. Look at the fires in Hawaii. Look at the fires in California. Storms. They can create them out of nothing by changing the front. So they run them together where you get really bad weather. It's being done.
It is. And I can't help but thinking since Agenda 21 didn't make it and they had to change the date, it doesn't seem like a lot of people rose up and, prevented it, that it was a small number. So, do we really need masses to prevent this, or what did we do to prevent 21 that we need to keep doing to prevent 30 and all their future ones?
Yeah, we have one soldier out front that says, I'm not going to make it happen. And that is Trump. And I'm not talking politics now. It is just what he said. I'm repeating that. So that's something you should think about. But there is a solution to all this. And that is that, remember, quantum mechanics tells us that we live in a mind-created universe. Let's invite the mind in on the solution. Let's say that we can probably outfight them, but it is better to outthink them. It is easier, less painful, and our mind is immensely powerful. And I have studied that. And to give you a little bit of an idea what the mind can do, go to YouTube, put in the search bar, reading while blindfolded. You can see kids and people reading books that they have never seen before, double blindfolded. They read right through the blindfold. They're not the eyes, but the mind read the books. There's quite a few videos on that. You can see that. 30 years ago, I was traveling around the country teaching a mind development course that taught people how to assimilate information out of a book at the rate of 50 to 100,000 words per minute with 95% retention. And it worked. They're still doing it. If you want to look into that, if you're in college, you really need to go look at this. Call it zoxpro.com. ZOXPRO.com. They'll teach you how to do it. It's kind of funny when I was come into a town and I went to the library and I grabbed some books here and there that I wanted to look at, and I had a stack about that tall sitting on the desk, and I was sitting there going to 2 pages a second. People looked at me like I was a strange animal. I remember one time there was a guy sitting at another table. I saw him. He was sitting there looking at me with me going through pages like this. And I was doing it for quite a while, and he was sitting there reading, and he got up, he came over and he asked me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm reading." And he stood there for a little bit, and he turned around and walked away, didn't say a thing, because it was way beyond his paradigm. He couldn't understand it. But it's possible.
I'm thinking now we have what we call savants, where they can look at a sheet of paper and memorize what's on it.
Yeah.
And it's just looking at it for like a few seconds. Could they have already been born with or tapped into this Vox Pro system you're talking about?
Well, the thing about it is that everybody is born with it. Every child is born genius, but we teach them out of that. We don't even teach them how to read. Their child's mind can read blindfolded. It can take 2 pages a second and know what is on there. But we tell them, nah, that don't work. Don't worry, that's bogus. So when you hear that 400 times growing up, you believe it.
Right.
So you're not able to do it. We teach them something that is absolutely against how the brain was designed to work. When you say, look at a page and suddenly know what is on it, that is that if you start reading rote memory, word by word by word, it's slow. The mind can take a mental picture, and it can do that in a split second. Bypass the conscious mind, put it directly into long-term memory, where everything else is in long-term memory. Later on, you can create a question, lower the brainwave pattern so there's no obstruction of thoughts in the funnel from the subconscious to the conscious understanding, and bring up the long-term memory, and there you are. You got it. There's a method for this. They'll teach you in the soxpro.com.
I will definitely have to go check that out because I'm starting to. I used to be able to recall things really well, and lately I've been talking myself out of it, saying, "Oh, I'm getting up there in age, and I don't have the ability to recall like I used to." And
See. Now you're doing it. You're
I
telling
know.
us. You're telling yourself, I can't remember much. No, we got to change our language. We can change this as yes, I can remember it. See, remember can mean two things. Your subconscious mind remembers. Your conscious mind recall. So when you say, I don't remember, that means that it's buried in the subconscious mind. You can't get to it. But you can say that I will recall it later. Or let's say you think about something and you can't quite bring it up, and you say, yeah, I'll think of it in a second. If you say that, that's an order to the subconscious mind to run around in the file cabinets, find that right thing, and bring it up to you in conscious understanding. I can think of that later. I'll think of it in a second. You'd be amazed how often 3 or 4 seconds later, oh, yeah, that's right. That's what it was. That's how it
Yeah,
works.
it's interesting you say that because I have a few people that I talk to about things, and admittingly with you as well, where I feel like as we're talking, things are coming up in my mind, and so I'm asking questions around them and bringing up topics, but it's like I don't feel like I'm remembering them. It's like there's a recall, and it's like it's there and then it like goes away. And so hearing you talking like that, it was like, oh, so that's what it is. It's not that I'm forgetting and I don't remember it. It's I'm confusing remember with recall.
Everything you have ever seen, listened to, heard, or experienced is recorded in the brain and in the mind, because that's not the same thing. The mind is non-local, the brain is local. So you have, it's recorded several places, especially if you hear it and see it at the same time. It's better to record it, because now you're recorded in the area where music and the sound are recorded, as well as where visual images are recorded. And especially also if you add emotion to it. If it's an emotional thing, oh, that's easy to remember and also recall.
You
And
know, it's interesting you bring up the emotion aspect because when I look at history, like for example, Pearl Harbor,
yeah,
the president wanted the U.S. in the war to help the other countries and to get out of the depression, so he knew that would boost the economy. Well, the people didn't want a war though, so his hands were tied, so to speak, because he needed people's support. And what does he do? He creates a massive event where people are brought into the emotion of anger, horror,
yep,
being terrified. And what did they do? They signed on the dotted line and said, "We're going to war."
yep,
And it replays throughout history. It happened at 9/11, happens with the Twin Towers. It's like everyone's first reaction is anger. Let's go. We have to go defend ourselves and we have to go do this. And when they stop and think about it, they're like, wait, we never should have been there. We
yep,
never should have got involved, but we made an emotional decision. And they use that against us, or they use it to program us.
yep. That's how it works. And that's not the only time either. There was, well, the Vietnam War was the same way. That was engineered too. So, but when we talk about what the mind can do, there's one more thing I want to mention that is really important for people to understand, is that you can actually create anything you want. Because about, God, it's got to be 5 years ago now, Nori Love and myself, we created a mastermind group, which we now have some phenomenal, powerful minds in it. And a mastermind is kind of, we heard the term, but really don't understand what it is. It is when two or more minds are united in harmony, they create a third mind that has the potential mind power of the two or more of them multiplied by each other. If 1,000 people get together and focus on one thing, visualizing it successful, visualizing it healed, visualizing completed, now you have 1,000 times 1,000. Now you got a mind power of 1,000,000 minds. That is powerful. What some of the things that we have done, let me take one example. There were during one session, on I think about on a Sunday, we we were doing the meditation and the manifestation session, and one of the guys, he said, my wife is in the hospital with COVID, and she's in a really bad way. They're going to start her on the remdesivir and also the ventilator the next day because they didn't think she was going to last long. And said, what can we do? So I said, okay, let's try it. So we wrapped our mastermind around her and we visualized her walking out of the hospital perfectly healthy. Next day, late in the afternoon, he called me and he said, my wife is home. And the most intelligent thing I could say was, huh? I didn't even believe it myself, but the mastermind took care of her in the hospital, reversed the condition, and the doctors told her that you recovered so fast there was no reason for us to keep you anymore here, so go home.
Which was probably the best thing for her.
Yeah. Another time there was a lady in Northern California that actually she I forget if she texted me or called me. I think she called me, and she said the forest fires are coming closer. She said, I'm going to go into town because I'm afraid my house is going to burn. It had not rained there for about 3 to 4 months. Everything was dry, brush fires, and the fires were coming closer to her house. So we wrapped our mastermind around her house, Northern California, and we visualized howling rain coming down. We saw ourselves standing on a hill looking towards where the fires were. The rain was coming down on our head. The hair was hanging in the face. We were wet in the clothes. My boots were filling up with water. We visualized it like that. And when we were done, we went on with something else. And an hour and a half later, she called me and she said, it's raining. And again, I asked her, well, how? And she says, I'm going to send you a video. I still have that video on my phone because when we did that, it was cloudy, but they can see holes in the clouds with blue skies above it. And in an hour and a half, it darkened up and started howling rain. And she sent me a video where she saw herself standing outside. I could see the rain coming down and she was wet all over. That's what the power of the mind can do. So for those of you out there that want to try something like this, come and join us. You are really going to like it because we create out of seemingly nothing sometimes, and it happens. Send us an email to TheMasterMindConnection at gmail.com. We'll get the email. I'll send you a link back, and you can come and check it out for yourself. There's some incredible things happening. There's a lot of things like that happens.
You know, talking about the power of the mind has me thinking about something that I wrote about in a book I'm working on right now. And it's a concept that I think you have some familiarity with, but I've been looking at it in a more unique way, and that is time travel.
Oh,
And I go and I think about it, and I'm like, people go, "Wouldn't you love to time travel and go back and fix something in the past?" And I say no, because I have the awareness of everything that happened in the past made me and forged me into who and what I am today. But I recently started thinking about, well, but wait a minute. If I go back and change something of my past, it's not just my past that alters. Everybody that was in that situation has altered. And do I really have the right to go and say to 5, 10, 20 people, hey, you may be living your perfect life, but because mine didn't turn out so perfect in my viewpoint, I'm going to rob you of your perfect life so I have the perfect life. And it was like interesting that my mind started going there and thinking about not just my ramifications, but the ripple effect to everybody in the situation. So, what are your thoughts around that?
Oh, this is such an interesting subject. If you talk to somebody like average people on the street, tell them time travel is real, and then you try explaining to them why it would be real. You can see them; their eyes roll back in the head, and they just kind of turn around, and stumble away from you, and promise never to talk to you again. Right?
Right.
And that's usually what happens. But the thing about it is, I have read 7 or 8 different scientific research paper that says, yes, we know how to create a time machine, but we can't do it yet. It wouldn't work in our society. Now, you mentioned going back, changing the past. I want to ask the listeners of something here. Is there anything in your past that was so stupid that you would like to go back and alter it so it didn't happen? Well, I got my hand up. There's always something. But the thing about it is that it is possible. For those of you that like to do a little research, go and I don't know, try not to use Google. Maybe use AI. Go and research the Helmut Schmidt experiment, where he went back and altered the past. He did it several times in a row. It is a scientific experiment that proves it works to alter the past. Now, do your own research on this one. But if you want to have some more evidence that time travel is real, there are major publications. Go to, let's say, bbc.com. There's the news feed they have. BBC, that's out of London, England. bbc.com/news/July 11, 2018. There's an article there where scientists are explaining, yes, we know we can create a time travel machine, but we really shouldn't mess with this. We shouldn't do it. And the thing about it also, like you mentioned, going back and changing the past is very tricky because, like you said, you got it right. You're not the only one in the past. You are intertwined with other people. You can change your own, let's say, your own situation. But whatever happened after that situation will now be different. That could not, it doesn't change what you have done here. That is still there. But what you do, you create a new timeline going a different direction where that thing did not happen. Because whatever you do is energy, right?
Right.
So when you have created something here right now, there's energy. Energy does not go away. It only alters form. So it cannot go away. It will be here. But you create a new timeline that does not have that stupid thing in it. Now you go on with something that is a little more clean, where you didn't have to experience what you thought was the stupid thing. Would that make any sense?
It does. And I have a quandary thought in my head because I feel like if, say, for example, I went back and erased a stupid thing, and I'm living the future, and I'm like, you know what? Life was better when I did do that stupid thing than it is now. If I go back and go and make it so that I do the stupid thing again, does the timeline keep rippling and keep going? Because how many times do I have to redo that stupid thing to get the lifetime that I want? Because, like you're saying, it's the after effect,
Yeah.
and I can't control how those people are going to react. So, how many times really would we have to go through it to get back to the original timeline?
Yeah. That's the thing. When you create a new timeline, the old timeline for you do no longer exist. With other words, you should not be able to remember it. So when you get to that time when you in the other timeline had done that stupid thing, you may do the same thing over again. So it's a hit and miss, but I know this is something that I really haven't figured out because there are situations that I have been in where I remember what happened in another timeline. So I think there can be some bleed over, but for the major part of it, you wouldn't be able to remember a lot of it unless you go after it because it is in the unified field. You can go there and find it. But that takes effort in a specific way that is not even easy to understand. But the thing is also that you got to remember what Ben Rich, he was the head of the Lockheed Skunk Works. And when he retired in 1978, he said something, and I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure I could tell you this and it would be accurate. He said, and I quote him, "We know how to take ET home. It will not take a lifetime. We already have the means to travel among the stars, but these technologies are locked up in black projects, and it would take an act of God to ever get them out to benefit humanity. Anything you can imagine, we know how to do." That is what he said in 1978 when he retired. He said another thing. If you had seen it on Star Trek, we already know how to do it. Star Trek did do time travel.
Right. And about time travel, I don't know if you're familiar with the CW show Legends of Tomorrow. It's a DC comic series, but
Mm,
they were dealing with time, and they were talking about how they were fixing timelines, and they went to this one point where they were trying to prevent someone from killing somebody and starting a war. And no matter how many they were like 50, 100 times, but they could not prevent this. And somebody, from another agency, quote, came and said, "This is a fixed point in time." Almost like a soul contract that had to be fulfilled. You couldn't not have this moment. Do those type of moments, do you think those really do exist, that no matter what we do to try and manipulate the timeline, that fixed moment will happen?
You brought up something that I haven't thought about for a while because it, boy, I wasn't going to go here, but I'm going to say it anyway. I have a friend, a 7-foot tall guy that comes and visit every so often, and he's not physical. At one time he told me, when we were discussing time travel, he said, there are node points which you cannot alter. So I think what these people did, I think they found them. They found one of them. There are certain things that lay down at the baseline of our illusion that is so solid we cannot alter it. So you're probably right about that. And I have been messing around with time travel a little bit. In fact, if you want to see a couple of pictures that I took while doing it, you can go to broadcastteamalpha.com. That's our Nori and my website for the Broadcast Team Alpha show. And go to Picture Gallery. Go into page 15. In the middle of the page, there's two pictures next to each other. Kind of greenish in color because it has, scenery and stuff in it. The two pictures, but they are different. One of them have leaves on the trees and it has been raining. The other one has no leaves on the trees and the road is dry. But the pictures are taken at the same time. So go have a look at that and click on the picture so you can read the text underneath it that will explain how I took it. Actually, I did it on the computer. I was sitting in front of the computer watching a video from my hometown back in Norway where they had a street view of it. And I took a screenshot. A time later, I got on there again and I did my thing and I tried to go back to the same time that I took the first picture and took another screenshot. There was quite a long time in between, but I missed it. It was 1 minute and 5 second difference actually. But for the leaves to disappear and for the road to dry up in 1 minute and 5 seconds, I don't buy it.
No, that defies what science has taught us, if you're going to believe science.
Yeah. Well, I believe parts of it. But go have a look at that if you like. There were some very interesting explanations to those pictures. Another thing you can do, in 2003, BBC television came over to the United States and they were going to do a TV documentary on time travel. And they had Michio Kaku and they had Green and myself. We did a video documentary of it that was actually showed to about 1 billion people. And in there, I demonstrated a time travel device that I have, that I've been doing some of these things with. And it got very interesting. Some of the things I talked about there actually happened, but other things didn't happen. And I wondered why. And now, since 2003, I learned a lot about time and different timelines. We have a myriad of timelines going parallel to us into the future because of different decisions we have done in the past. And we create new timelines all the time. And there's a good likelihood we are already in most of them going into the future. And sometimes you slip from one into another one, That's called time slippage. And it happens for people. You can be, let's say, coming home, and things look different. You see there are differences in the house, and then a little while later it looks normal again. You may have slipped into a different timeline where you put the chairs a little different. You have a different painting on the wall. Some small differences. I had one incident when I came home with grocery bags. I had several grocery bags, and I had the car keys hanging off my little finger walking in, and I put it on the island in the kitchen, and I put the groceries away, and I came back, keys are gone, and I couldn't find them before next day, I think it was. I found them in the freezer on the fridge. It was in the freezer, but the trick is that I had not put anything in the freezer. The freezer wasn't touched, but it was in the freezer. How did that happen? The only thing I can think of is that I slipped into a different timeline where I actually did buy something that went in the freezer and it fell in the freezer, and there it was.
That's interesting because I know we're getting close on time, but I feel remiss if I didn't ask this question of you right here as we're talking about this. Could a lot of the Mandela effects that everybody is reporting be results of these time slippages?
Absolutely. I think that is one way where a lot of people, because a lot of people remembered that it was advertised on TV that Mandela died long before he actually did die. So yeah, I think that could have been a different timeline where he did die in prison. But there is other ways too that it could happen. And that is that people may have been sitting watching TV or something where the the brainwave pattern slows down. It always does that when you watch TV. That's the design of it. So they can feed you things that you don't know about. But you slow down the brainwave pattern into the bottom of the alpha range where you could you have information accessible to you from the unified field where maybe he had died, and it's placed in there. You may still be in the same timeline, but you get the information from the field and you feel like it happened.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, and I know Facebook and social media is not a source that usually can be reference material, but I will see every once in a while posts that says, "Oh, look at these celebrities who died," and they put a photo of somebody who is very much alive on there so that you click to go, "Wait, that person died?" And is that a method, I'm wondering, where they're trying to get us to create a Mandela effect or have a similar experience where we go, this person died even though they didn't die, and then we find out later when they really did die, your first thought is, didn't they already die? And it's like, wait, and it's because you saw the photo.
Are you thinking about Elvis? Or others? I can mention a few of them that did not die when we were told they did.
It's just,
And if you want to learn more about time travel and how to do that, I got a whole chapter in here how you can train your mind to do it. spiritual science, higher conscious thinking, and how to access the universal consciousness. And I think go to Amazon and put my name in there or the title, and then read the text and all the subjects that is in there. There is things in there that will change your life, because I get the emails from people all the time saying that, boy, that book changed my life. Now I know something that I can actually use for my benefit.
Wow. I know we've covered a lot, and I'm looking at the list, and we actually only covered like one or two or three of the topics that we had, and I'm like, man, where did the time go?
Well,
Because I want to give you time to promote yourself and what you have coming up, if you would like, and more about if you have more books that you want to promote, because I know you do have a book that's out of print now.
oh yeah, that one. I don't even talk about that anymore. But I do have another one. It's right up on the shelf here. It's called Universal Success Principles and How Billionaires Think. I've been able to associate with billionaires, and I learned a lot from them. And if you Google that term, Universal Success Principles and How Billionaires Think, you can find the book. And if you are in business, if you like to be in business, or if you want a smoother running family, you kind of need to read that one, because it teaches you everything, not everything, but a lot of the things that society does not want you to know about, because they want you to be a good worker, smart to do the paperwork, but not smart enough to ask questions. And the real success principles that can create wealth are never taught to you in the system of education, but it's in the book. How to create a mind. They have an inner circle and outer circle, and how to set goals and date them, and it is all in there. Techniques and things that will benefit you.
That is really cool. And so, do you want to take a moment and talk more about your website, the Team Broadcast Alpha, and its mission, and what all
Yeah,
is available there?
yeah. Me, Nori, Love, and I, we have done this broadcast Team Alpha for 7 years, I think, and we have just passed 1,000 videos altogether, and that's quite a bit.
Yeah,
That's a lot, yeah. So we're kind of proud of that, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. But scroll down deep in the videos, you're gonna find some things that'll jump right out there for you, because there's things you need to know. See, the universe have a plan for us. I have done a lot of videos on my own that you will find under videos, not under the live section, but under videos, that will teach you how to do things that you normally would not learn anywhere. And that's a good one. Nori and I have interviewed some of the most interesting people in the world. So you go down there and have a look. Broadcast Team Alpha on YouTube, and 44 other platforms, 3 TV outlets, and a bunch of radio outlets, and different places. I don't even know where we are. The producer take care of that.
I
So
think the bigger question is, where aren't you?
yeah, yeah, but yeah, there is actually, we are the few places. We're on the Roku, and also on well, a lot of places. So we just go have a look, and you're gonna find some things that can possibly change the way you look at things, how you live, You get some ideas about what to do to make your life better. Because some of those guests that Nori and I interviewed, they're phenomenal. There is pearls in there, like Nori used to say. So, yeah, there is pearls in there.
Well, congratulations. That is a huge achievement and well deserved. And I can't help but feel like there's many more episodes to come. And so keep doing
Yeah,
what you're doing. And is there anything else that you want to promote before our time is up?
yeah. The all the other things that you had written down and that I don't know what is yet. There's always another show, so we can do it some other time, and we'll talk about that. I had one thing that I wanted to talk about that we never got the chance to do, and that how do you speak with dead folks? And it works every time. You can contact dead relatives or Nikola Tesla or whoever you decide to, and it works. Let's do that next time because that's a good one.
I might be in touch with you sooner than you think for an
Okay.
episode just on that because I feel like that is a whole episode just in itself.
Yeah, but I've just said there it works all the time. It works for everybody. Not just, I mean, you can be a nuts and bolt guy that don't even believe in spirits or ghosts. If you do what I will tell you, they'll be there. So
Uh,
let's do it next time.
yes,
We gotta have a cliffhanger, right?
I know. I was like, you can't ask for a better cliffhanger than that right there.
Yeah, that's good. I love to have fun on these shows, and the thing about it is that I also want to do something that can make people's life better. And that's why I talked about reversing the aging process. I talk about getting that book. You read that book 3 times. Then you need to get in touch with me because you will be ready for stage 2. That's when you start creating things out of seemingly nothing. So I hope I have at least spurred some interest out there, and go to Broadcast Team Alpha on YouTube and click on the everything. Click on everything you can possibly think of. Become a member or subscribe, or because there is videos there that others don't get to see. In fact, reprogramming your subconscious mind for success or better sleep or all kinds of things on there. Besides, there is surprises in the member section.
Very cool. And thank you. And I want to also say thank you for trusting me and coming on this show because I know there are different types of podcast shows out there. So thank you for trusting me and coming on. And we will definitely have you on more shows. So be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along because you never know when he's going to pop up next and where he'll pop up next.
Yeah,
And
I had fun.
I'm glad, and that's my goal. And so thank you for that. And I have one last message for you, and that is from my heart and the heart of my show. Thank you for what you're doing for humanity. It's seen and felt. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome, and mankind is welcome because I when I quit flying, I wasn't quite sure of what to do next. But I got, being retired, I got bored stiff. I just 2 weeks, and I had to do something, so I started doing things, and it brought me here.
I'm glad you were open to it because you have an awareness and an insight that I don't know a lot of people who have, and so I am so blessed that you were out there sharing it with everyone and came on and shared it with us.
Well, I've been around longer than most of you, so you learn a few things along the path.
And to coin what you would say is you're only as old as you feel.
Yep, and you think you are. I am 35 years old up here. I never will be above 35 because that's when I had most fun. Flying through freezing mud and thunderstorms. Yeah, that was okay. Not all the time, but it was fun. And I've had fun with pretty much everything I've done since that, except for a couple of incidents that wasn't all that much fun.
Right. And it kind of reminds me of that line in Hook, the movie, where Peter Pan grows up and he goes, "To live is the greatest adventure." And
Yeah.
reading your bio and talking with you, it's like you are the living embodiment of that statement.
Oh, yeah. Well, I never learned how to be lazy. Being lazy is an art, and I'm not really that kind of artist because you can actually have fun being lazy too by doing things for yourself, things for your family, and that's your whole world. So other people may look at you as being, oh, he doesn't do anything, he's lazy. No, because if you're happy, then that concept of being lazy goes away, because if we are happy, we are doing what we should do.
Exactly. And to me, that's the meaning of life, is to be happy in every moment and live in the
Yeah,
joy of the moment.
absolutely.
Well, thank you for sharing with us, and thank you to everyone in the chat room. And we are going to have to say goodnight because both of us have, I'm sure, other things to do and it's getting late. And so I want to be respectful to the guest and to everyone. And so keep an eye out because you never know when we're going to have him back on. I can guarantee you he will be back on. We just got to find where our schedules meet. And so, blessings to you all, and good night.
Okay, like they say in France, au revoir.
I thought it was Arrivederci. Oh, no, that's Italy. Arrivederci.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Well, laughter to everyone. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.